is Riddle. I am a student at Gold Lake High School, and this is for my video game development class. Um, so I've been working through the junior programming um, pathway on UniLearn, and I last week I went through the player control branch. Um, so I made a car, and I did some obstacles and made it so you could move the car, and the camera would actually follow it. And also you'd be able to um, turn the car between the obstacles and everything. And then I fixed a bunch of errors in code for plane driving through a bunch of obstacles. And this week I have been I went through the basic gameplay and started on the sound effects branch. Is so I did some things with, or I started some of this last week. I did the player positioning, which is just like added some. I added the characters and the animals and everything and made it so that the player could move out of bounds. And this, I made it so you could launch the food projectiles, and then I made animals move towards you. So eventually you'll be able to hit them with the food, and then they despawn. So I'll show you that now. I'm on my basic gameplay branch, and the first thing I did was the random animal stampede. So what it was doing before is it wasn't actually spawning at random positions, but rather just spawning in one when I press S. So this fixes that and makes it just spawn randomly without any input being required. So here you can see my field of animals and everything, and when I press play, the animals will run towards me at varying speeds. And currently, if I launch projectiles at them, nothing happens. Oh, maybe it's at the next one that they spawn randomly, but if I press S, that they will spawn at random positions here. But I still have to press a button for them to spawn. So I'll show you the next one. So I'll get up, then I made this change here. Give me a second. So here, in the collision decisions thing branch, which again, all of these are linked up to the pathway here. So like basic gameplay, I have all these collision decisions, as I just said, is here. So I checked that out, and now I load it up. So here in this branch, I have it so that when this loads up and I launch a sandwich at the animals, then they'll disappear. And now they will start spawning in random positions without requiring any input. And you can see again that they disappear when off screen, so they'll despawn either when they are hit with a projectile or when they leave the screen. In the coding, it also spawned the animals outside of the thing, so I just adjusted that a little bit so that I would always be able to hit them. So for that, that was all I did for the last thing I did for the main basic gameplay thing with all that. And then I did the play fetch challenge, which was another thing similar to the plane, where I was given a code. Sorry, I'm a little bit under the weather, but I was given another code with a bunch of errors in it, so it wasn't running as it should properly. So here I downloaded some challenge files here. So here's this. So here's where I finished the challenge 2. So an initial issue that they had, or there were several, so some challenges that that they had where like the dogs were spawning from the top of the screen. So how this game is supposed to work is like this, as I fixed it. So eventually a ball will run under, and I can launch a dog to go try and catch it. And when they collide with it, then they'll disappear. So initially, instead of the balls raining from the top of the screen like that, it would be the dogs, and that's obviously not what's supposed to happen. It was also spawning the ball from you that would just fall, rather than the dogs. Um, and also the hitbox of the dog. So over here, if I look at this, the collider was much larger than um, like it was somewhere around like this. So if the ball was anywhere in that area, then it would collide and disappear. Um, so I fixed that so that it would be just around the dog. Um, and another thing was that when the balls or dogs were living off the screen, they weren't disappearing. They weren't being despawned. So it was just filling this hierarchy up. It was also only spawning one kind of ball. You probably saw that it was spawning red, green, and blue of varying sizes. Um, and another thing I changed was that so that the player can't spawn or spam the spacebar. So like I can only launch a dog every certain amount of time. See, but yeah, that's it for the basic gameplay branch, I think. Um, so here I'll close this. Oh, there was one more thing. This one was pretty short. The most recent command. So this one I made it so that the cube. I was modifying a cube. Um, so here I'll open that scene. That's in the mod of the cube. So here you can see there's a cube here. That's just like a bright white. And then when I run it, it'll change. It'll do something else. It'll start rotating, and it like starts glowing a little bit, maybe, or at least it's a different color. And that's because of the script. So there are various things that you can change about it, like the color and the rotation. It was rotating in a really weird angle and everything. So this one was just to test out a little bit more of the different, how you could change them mid while the program is running. Change out these different components of the thing, like the rotation speed and the color and everything, without having to be in the inspector or anything. So when people are actually playing the game, they can see the different changes and how everything works, rather than having to look in the Unity editor or something. So that was it for the basic gameplay branch, and then I moved on to standard effects, which so far what I've done is I've added. I'll show you the most recent thing. But I added a scene where there is a character that is. I'll show you. So here you can see that there's the scene. I have my character here, and when I load the thing up, the once it loads up, there it looks like you're running to the right, and the whole background is moving to the left. That's why it looks like that. Your character is actually not moving the whole time, but everything else is moving around it. Makes it a bit easier to center the camera up and everything. So you can see that there are boxes that spawn, and I can jump over them. And you can also see probably that the background is repeating over and over in a pretty smooth manner. And if I collide with a box, on on the console here, you can see that there's game over messages that are being launched every time I touch a box. So I'll show you some the scripts for the characters and everything. So for the player controller, for the jump force, like and everything. So how high you jump up, the like against how much gravity, the gravity modifier, which is another variable here. and if it collides with the obstacle specifically, then it'll set the game over. Um, and if it collides with the ground, then it'll um, allow you to jump again. Um, that's something that with other things I had been able to do before, um, which is limit the like jump. Otherwise, you could just jump infinitely up into the air. Um, but here, when I launch it, I could spam it, and it still would just do the same thing. Um, so it's still colliding with the box, but um, I could like collide with the top because with how I set this up, the character's freeze, position, and rotation on the X and Z. Um, yeah, the character's rotation and position are frozen on the X and Z, so you can see that they are moving toward this. So like this, anytime they touch a box or like spinning over or anything. See if I disable the freeze rotations, and you can see kind of what that looks like when I touch a box. That the character will like spin over and start messing up, and it messes up the jumping and everything. But that's why you want to have those on. If the freeze position on the rotation on the Y was checked off, that means I could jump over, because every part of the character is frozen in place. Another thing I did was I added the script to the background, so like to move left, which is pretty simple. It's obviously just saying calling the speed, and then moving to the left. That's it. And I have that also applied to the crates, so that it looks like they're moving at the same time as the background, like with the background anyway. And for the repeat background, I'll show you how this works. Um, Once it loads up, but here I have the transformation or the transform position. So if it's less than the start position, which is set to a thing, um, it will repeat the width of the object. So like it'll show the same. It'll just show the background again, right at the end. So when it gets past the where you could see the start of the background, that you can then it'll repeat. I also have my spawn manager here. So this determines how the boxes spawn and everything. So here, like you can see that I'll just spawn every once in a while, and there's a start delay as well. So every 2 seconds specifically, it spawns a new object in front of you by 25 units in the X. And then it also starts 2 seconds after. So when I launch it, it doesn't spawn a box for 2 seconds. I think that's mostly it for what I've been doing this week. Next week, I'll be doing some more of the sudden effects. So some of this was in the next thing. Like this is where I added the game over and the background repeat. That's in the next unit that I haven't checked off yet because I haven't finished it. But next up, I'll be like doing things like stopping the obstacle spawning when the game ends, and also making it so you stop moving, or the background and the boxes will stop moving left when you touch it. And then also destroy obstacles to exit outside, as it says here. But yeah, that's mostly what I'll be doing. I'll add some particles, like maybe when you touch it or something. I don't know exactly. I haven't got there yet. And do the challenge. And I'll probably get into gameplay mechanics. But you'll see that next week. Again, you can see all this on the GitHub that I have in my junior programming. I have a link to this on my website that you can check out. And I have all my branches and everything. And I'm uploading this. And again, you can also go to the UniLearn, which is pretty good at teaching me so far on how to use Unity. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.